Let's begin by creating a simple budget and graph. Start by typing in cell A1 the name of our company, which will be WPC and budget for 2011. Press the enter key and let's type in the 3 months. January, just type in JAN, move it over, type in February, move it over, type in March. Let's go back and let's type in cash, enter, type in A/R for accounts receivable, and type in INV for inventory. Press the enter key twice and let's type in C period assets for current assets. Let's type in the following numbers: 2056.75, press enter, 1400. Before I continue, let me show you a quick way of entering numbers. If I highlight the cells where I'd like to enter the numbers and I start typing, the numbers will automatically follow the direction whereby I want this cell to be entered. So for example, let's continue with 1875.5, and now you can press the enter key and it automatically goes up to February. So now we have 3,500 for the next value, 700 for the next value, enter, 1250.75 for the next value, and press enter. And it looks like I made a mistake. Let's go back. That's why we should always check the screen. 3,500, 700, and 1250.75. Enter. And we already broke the pattern, so we have to go back and do this manually. 2100.5. Enter. 1875.3, and finally 1550.75. Okay, now let's do the exciting material we'd like to do. We're going to be learning a whole bunch of new things here, probably about 10 new things. We'd like to make our budget look much, much nicer. The question is, how should we do that? And what other information can we get? Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to total the assets in January. And to do that, we already learned this prior to this module. We can either do the double summation, if you recall, or we can type in, let's type in the formula as a review, equals sum, as you remember, and we highlight the 3 cells, and we can type in, let's do that one more time, equals sum, parentheses, and let's go back to the 3 cells, and we'll press enter, and that will be the number. Now, in order to get February, we could do exactly the same thing and type in equals sum. I just want to show it to you so we'll remember the number. Equals sum and parentheses, and I can highlight it again just like I did the other one. I can press enter. Now notice the number is 5450. Now let's get rid of that, and instead of doing this for each single month, which seems to be a waste, we can copy the actual formula to the 3 cells. So what I mean by that is, let's go back to January. We notice the formula sum B4, B6. Let's expand that by taking the cursor. Notice the shape of the cursor, move it to the bottom right, and now let's drag it over. Notice what happens, and let go. Let's let go of the keyboard and notice automatically it sums up the values. Now let's take a look. First one was correct, B4, B6 is summation. The next one is C4, C6. The next one is D4, D6. So we have now summed up the numbers. Just to illustrate that again, we start at the original cell. We bring the cursor to the bottom right, hold down the key, stretch it across, and then let go. Okay, so we've just now totaled the January assets. We've copied January's total to February and to March. Now, let's change the formatting. To change the formatting, if you notice, the numbers 1400 or 2056.75, they do not really match up too well. We'd like it to be so that all the numbers will look the same. And one of the ways of doing that is by highlighting the numbers that we'd like to change, and we could right-click if we wish, and we will see one of the choices says Format Cells. Click on Format Cells, and we're going to get a choice of how we want to format the cells. Right now we'll go down to numbers, number, and the default is 2 decimal places. All you have to do is press enter and watch what happens to our screen. Everything now will have 2 decimal places. We now have 0 in place. We have all the decimals in place, and it looks much nicer. Now, if you'd like to put in dollar signs, so for example, we'd like to have the bottom with dollar signs, we can right click on the bottom and we can go to Format again, and we can choose this time currency. Assuming we want it to be 2 decimal places, we can leave it as such. If we want it to be 1 decimal place, we can change it to 1 or to 0. So you can do that as well. And just for demonstration purposes, let's leave it at 0. Press enter on the OK, and notice what happens. Okay, so now we have it set up as well. If you go back on top, you notice the January, February, March, it's left justified. Well, we can leave it that way, but it might look nicer if we either make it right justified or center. And we can do that as well by highlighting the cells, and we can right click, and we can look at Format Cells, and we can take a look at alignment. And if we go to alignment, we have different choices how we want it to be aligned, and we can see whether we want it to be, well, you can go through all the different possibilities here. Take a look.